When we're really getting down to it, one of the two most important factors for you to be in the best position possible to purchase a home are, one, your income, right? What is your career, your job? What services are you offering in the marketplace that you can then turn around and use to better your life, right? So what is your income and how can you improve that or make that better? And then two, how do you steward or manage the money that you do receive? Those two factors are more important than anything else I talk about, right? Those are the things that are most important. And so these 5 books may not be on the topics that you would expect, right? You may be... Welcome to the Home Goals Podcast, the ultimate guide for turning your home goals into a reality. I'm your host, Derek Thornton. Join us as we navigate the twists and turns of obtaining a home. We'll be offering expert tips, helping you avoid pitfalls, and championing your journey towards that cherished place to call home. In this week's episode, we'll be discussing something that relates very much to one of my favorite quotes that I've heard over the years by Charlie Jones. It says, "You will be the same person in 5 years as you are today, except for the people you meet and the books you read." I'm a huge proponent of reading all that you can. All the information that you, I, or anyone else wants is out there and available for us. We live in the age of information, but it's still up to us to make sure that we're actively seeking out that information, right? And finding ways to get that. And so today I wanted to discuss not only some books to read, but 5 books that you should read if you're considering buying a home. We're rounding the 4th quarter of 2024. Before you know it, the holiday season will be here very quickly, and then the new year starts, and that's when everybody has their eventual goals and everything. And so if one of your home goals, is to go ahead and purchase a home in the next year, these are some things that you might want to read to kind of take those things into consideration, right? These are 5 books that I think that you should read. Even if you aren't thinking of buying a home in the very near future, these are still 5 books that can have a tremendous impact on your life in the ways that can prepare you to be in that situation. When it comes to purchasing a home, there's a lot of things that go into it, right? I've made a whole podcast revolving around what it takes to buy a home. And a lot of times I'm usually referencing things that it takes for you to kind of be in the best position to purchase. But I also want to make sure that I spend time talking about what it takes to put yourself in that position. When we're really getting down to it, one of the two most important factors for you to be in the best position possible to purchase a home are, one, your income, right? What is your career, your job? What services are you offering in the marketplace that you can then turn around and use to better your life, right? So what is your income and how can you improve that or make that better? And then 2, how do you steward or manage the money that you do receive? Those two factors are more important than anything else I talk about, right? That's more important than understanding how the contracts or agreements work in a real estate deal. That's more important than understanding the nuts and bolts of a home inspection report or anything else. The most important thing for you to be in the best position possible is for you to understand or have a firm grasp on your income and how to improve it, as well as how you steward and manage the money that you do receive. Those are the things that are most important. And so these 5 books may not be on the topics that you would expect, right? You may be thinking like, hey, 5 tips for someone who's purchasing a home or 5 tips for one. Real estate is hyper local, as I said before. A lot of the stuff that you need to know too, most of the time you're going to hire a realtor to kind of help walk you through that process, right? I want to focus more on those other 2 factors that get you in the position to even be able to talk to someone to kind of get ready to purchase a home. So again, 5 books that I would recommend that you read if you're considering purchasing a home. All of the books I'm about to reference are offered at my local county library. And if you are in an area that maybe doesn't have a fully stocked library, or you're thinking to yourself, well, Derek, I checked and they're already sold out or they're checked out right now, and there's a 50-person waiting list, and is there a faster way to get them? I looked up all the books on Amazon, and as of this recording, as of the date of this recording, I looked up used copies, right, and factored in shipping and everything else. You could get all 5 of these books, a used version of them, for $59. right? And that's shipping and everything included, right? So again, for $59, you could get all 5 of these books. Now, I hate to use the whole coffee example that everyone loves. If we're just skipping your cup of coffee for a week, you can be able to, I hate that example. I make my coffee at home, so that really doesn't register in my mind. That's not something I really think about. But I figured one thing that may be more relatable is, you think of the streaming platforms that are out there, Hulu, Netflix, Disney, HBO Max, like all those different ones that are out there. On average, they're usually about $15 a month. And so you figure you could sacrifice or put one or all of those streaming platforms on pause for a month, and you could very quickly get to that point. You could say, hey, I'm just going to put this one on pause. I'm going to cancel it for this month and put that money towards getting one of these books and bettering myself. That's a way that you can do it as well. But again, I don't want you to let the cost of these things or any type of obstacle that may hinder you from getting your hands on these books to stop you from getting the information. It's valuable stuff that I think you can use and I think will be very helpful to everyone as well. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get into the first book that I would recommend. The name of this book is called The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. This is a book that was so good. I originally got it from the library myself. It was so good. As soon as I was done reading it, I went online and purchased it. Because I was like, I need to make some notes. I need to highlight this, whatever. It's a book that I thoroughly enjoyed. And basically, it very much goes into the nuts and bolts of your thought process behind the way that you relate to money. One of the quotes that he had in there that I loved, he said, every decision people make with money is justified by taking the information they have at the moment and plugging it into their unique mental model of how the world works. Right. So all of this book is really dedicated to factoring in and helping you understand a little bit more about how our society views money, how we interact with money, and then also how that plays a part in how you view money as well, like how you think about saving, how you think about investing. All those things are very important for you to keep in mind. Obviously, if you're thinking about getting into a situation where you're going to be making likely the largest financial decision of your life in a house, it would make sense that you would want to make sure you have a firm understanding of just how you interact with money, right? It's going to come up. It's going to be a factor. You're always going to have those thoughts, those concerns, those fears. And if you can have a firm understanding of that before you ever even get into the process of purchasing a home, you're already going to be ahead of the game, right? You're already going to know how to handle or address those things that may come up. You're going to make sure that you aren't house poor, right? You're not going to be in a situation where the majority of your income is going towards something that you just can't afford. A lot of times when we go to purchase a home, I don't know if people even realize this, the lender more so cares about whether or not your credit score is good, you have the money to put down for a down payment and closing costs, and do you make enough to make the monthly payment. Those are really the main things that they're paying attention to. Outside of that, they really don't check anything else. So they're not checking to make sure that you have a certain level in emergency funds on hand to handle that HVAC or that water heater or something breaking down after the fact. They're not checking behind to make those things. That's your responsibility to do. And so again, you need to make sure that not only do you qualify to purchase this home, but you also qualify or in a position to be able to handle whatever surprises may come down the way with that row. And again, the psychology of money, I know it sounds kind of frou-frou and it's like, oh, that doesn't really mean anything right now. I promise you it does. I could not stop scribbling notes when I was reading this book because, again, it very much helps me to kind of see and get a feel for what I'm looking for and why I make the decisions I make with money, and that can kind of impact the way that you manage or steward it. And so that's the one that I would recommend that you start out with just to get a feel for how you interact with money and start to pick up on patterns or things that you have in place. Now, speaking of patterns, that brings me to my second book that I would recommend. It's a book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. Again, that's Atomic Habits by James Clear. That book very much goes into all the things revolving around our habits, the things that we do on a regular basis, on a day-to-day, some of the things that we do that we don't even realize that we do, right? There's so many subconscious actions that we take throughout the course of a day, right? You're not thinking about going through the process of tying your shoes or driving in your car. There's certain things that your brain is almost on autopilot, and you're not even realizing all the different habits and things that you do. Whether you realize it or not, we're a lot more predictable than we would like to admit, right? We do things in a certain way, and we constantly stay in that pattern. Now, you do have the ability to break that pattern. It's not always the easiest thing to do, but it is possible. And this book gives you a lot of practical, helpful tips. They have additional resources that they will offer to you as well. He has a newsletter that he does. He offers his own personal story and examples of how habits played a change in his life and how he was able to factor those in. And he will help you to make sure that if you want to start a new habit, right? Especially, again, like I said, with the new year coming around the corner, a lot of people are looking to change things about the way that they do life, but they usually run out of head of steam by the first month or two. This is a book that can help you put some more practical things in place to make sure that those bad habits that you had are not being transferred over into other areas of your life, right? And so this not only plays a factor when you're preparing to purchase a home and trying to make sure that you have all the funds and everything in place, but also making sure that you're in a good position so that when you are a homeowner, you're not allowing those same bad habits that could put you in a bind to have problems or issues when you actually own that home. And so, again, I would highly recommend that you check out Atomic Habits by James Clear and really, like I said, use all the resources that he offers or provides. I read his follow-up emails all the time as well, too. But that's a great book and a resource to kind of help you get, again, more so in the mindset of changing things or changing habits that you may not even realize. We joked all the time, too, about like sometimes you may be eating your down payment, right? You may be eating out every meal when you could be saving things wherever you or could be putting yourself in a position where you're spending a lot more money outside of things that you didn't need to do or that you could have broken that cycle. And so this is a good book to help with that. The third book that I would recommend, this one kind of transitions more from the mental aspect of it and more so into the career side of things, like the transition into certain fields or things as well. Because again, your greatest wealth building tool is your income. And so there can be any number of loan programs and products out there that will help you to purchase a home with no down payment or purchase a home with no closing costs, right? There's all these different features and programs that you can use. But at the end of the day, if your income is too low, it doesn't matter, right? You're not going to be able to make those monthly payments. Or if you can make them, you're not going to have any money left over to handle repairs or maintenance or upkeep or anything else that comes along with owning a home. And so this third book is called Start by John Acuff. And it's a wonderful book for helping people who are thinking about making a transition or a change in their career, and they just need that kind of added push to kind of put themselves out there, right? So to give yourself an example or to kind of share a little bit of story about myself, I referenced this before, but I used to work as a bank teller at a local credit union and worked there for a couple years while I was studying to get my real estate license and kind of make the jump over there. And although the pay wasn't great at the credit union, it was still a consistent, steady income. It was a steady check and everything like that. It was a very safe job. My paycheck came every 2 weeks like clockwork. Like I was able to have PTO, days off, all kinds of different things like that. But again, I knew if I wanted to be able to have a career that could really sustain and care for my family, it was going to require me to make that next jump. And for me, that jump was real estate. That was something that I wanted to get into. I was very interested in, and I was like, hey, I want to figure out how to get into this. I knew the majority of people, the success rate is very low in this industry. It's especially low if you go into it part-time. So I wanted to jump in full-time into this business. And so I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I can't just just do it halfway. I can't just do it part-time. I'm going to have to make the full jump and the full commitment to go into this business. And so I was very obviously hesitant to do this. Newly married. I'd only been married for a couple of years. We didn't have any children at the time, but it was something that we knew we both wanted. And so I had to make that decision like, okay, it's now or never, right? It's only going to get more difficult for me to make this jump. But I know that making this jump is going to put me in the best position possible to have a sustainable income that is enough to help care for our family down the road. And so I had to make this jump. And this book was one of the things that really helped me be okay with making that jump, right? There are a lot of you out there who may be thinking to yourself, like, I want to make this change, or I want to pursue this new career endeavor or this new business goal, but I'm worried, I'm concerned. I know that there's a lot more risk on the other side of that, but there's also a lot more reward, right? And again, like I said, not to bash my position or anything like that I was in with the credit union, because I'm very thankful because it helped give me the stepping stone to get to where I am now. But if I had stayed there, if I had stayed in that position, I wouldn't have been able to afford a home then. We didn't have enough discretionary income to kind of make changes. But then also, even moving forward into now, into present day, we definitely wouldn't have been able to afford something had I not made that jump. And so sometimes you may be in a career or position that requires you to make that next jump or that next change into a new field, and you're feeling so hesitant about it that you just are kind of frozen in place, right? Paralysis from analysis, they sometimes say. This book is a great thing to kind of help you get over that hump and write it. Just like they said in the title, start, right? And so it's just a matter of putting that action into effect, whatever, and making that change. That's the only way that you're going to do it. You can't guarantee that things are going to go according to plan. As a matter of fact, the only thing that you can guarantee is that there's going to be likely something that doesn't go the way you planned it. But again, this is a great book to kind of help get you out there and kind of put your foot and to take that leap of faith the best way you can. The fourth book is a very popular one. It's called The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. This book is probably, the program itself, the program that came from it called Financial Peace University. Both of those things, I mean, you're talking 30 some years, millions of families and people that have been helped using this program. There's a lot of you who have probably even heard of this book already as well. I would recommend checking it out again. If you've already read it, go back and read it again. It gives great practical advice for helping you to not only get out of debt, but also make sure that you have a plan for the funds that you have in place, right? So this factors in more with the stewardship of the money that you have, learning how to manage that money, right? So again, it's helping you to, reduce your debt, get rid of the debt, eliminate the debt, because the more you can eliminate the debt, the more that helps your income, which, as we said earlier, is your greatest wealth building tool. And so that really frees up a lot of things, right? Freeing up that debt allows you to be able to afford more home. It allows you to save up more money for things outside of the home, right? Save up for an emergency fund, save up for kids' college, right? Save up for new cars if you need them, right? You can save up and do so many other things with those funds if they aren't all being tied up and given out to debt payments that you have, right? Student loans and car payments and personal loans and all these different things and credit cards, right? All these things that start to put weights around and restrictions around what we can do financially. This book helps you to get away from those things, right? It helps to release you from those debts, right? The Bible always says, that the borrower is slave to the lender. Like I said, you don't want to be in that position, right? And you want to do everything you can to get out of that debt hole. And again, this gives you practical steps. It's not just the self-help like, hey, just pray about it and you'll be all right. No, this gives you specific step-by-step guidance into how to get out of debt, how to budget and manage your money as well, and make sure that you're in a good solid position. Now, again, this book was written a long time ago, so there are some things that you might see that seem a little outdated. Like, for example, they say like, hey, you want to have a starter emergency fund of $1,000 just on the side and stuff like that too. A lot of people go like, $1,000, that's not going to do anything. It's better than nothing. So again, even though that may not be the exact same amount that you need to have on hand to handle all of life's emergencies, you're still better off than most people if you can manage to save that money up and just have it parked to the side solely for emergencies or solely for things happening. Most Americans are living paycheck to paycheck and don't have anything saved whatsoever to handle those type of emergencies. So again, this gets you up and off the ground running, and then you can kind of go in and beef that up a little bit more. You can go through and start making changes and make sure that you're in the best position possible when you're ready to purchase that home. So again, that book is The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. The last one that I would recommend, and this one again speaks more to the stewardship side of things, is a book called The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. It's a book that I also got when I was at my local library. I think it was referred to me by a friend, but it was a book that I thoroughly enjoyed, and it really speaks to the importance of automating your savings and your investing, right? We talked about streaming platforms then, right? Like most of those guys, they have automated plans in place where it takes the money out of your account immediately right out of the gate. That is a great way for you to make sure that you have money being set aside for saving, for investing. If you're going through the process, and let's say, for example, you want to set aside a certain amount of money every single month towards a down payment for a house, you're almost always going to be served or better served if you can automate that savings plan as opposed to just saying, I'm going to go in and make this change every single month, right? And you want to make sure that it's not only automated, but try to put some obstacles in place so that it's not something where you can just reach back in and grab that money whenever you want to, right? So they also talk about automating your investing, right? If you want to invest in a 401k or invest in a Roth IRA or something like that, you want to automate those things. That way you never even have the chance to grab that money or stop it from going there. It just immediately goes out and sends it to you. The studies have shown that that's always going to be one of the most effective ways to make sure that you're actually following through with that plan. If you just say, hey, I'm going to set a reminder on my phone every month to set aside $200, I guarantee you life's going to happen. You're either going to forget to do it or something's going to be more pressing and you're like, oh, well, actually, I needed those funds for something else, or actually, I needed to put that over here for this. Automate it as best you can, especially if you have a predictable income, right? If you have a consistent income coming in, that is absolutely something you should do because, again, you have a little bit more leeway in knowing or predictability in knowing how your finances are going to be looking from month to month. But even if you are a 1099 or you're self-employed or something like that and you want to get in that process too, again, try to work with at least the base or the average numbers as best you can and come up with something that's automated, because that is always going to give you the best option or the best choice to make sure that those funds are actually being set aside. So again, just a quick rundown again. The first book I referenced, The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. 2, Atomic Habits by James Clear. 3, Start by John Acuff. 4, The Total Money Makeover by Dave Ramsey. 5, The Automatic Millionaire by David Bach. Those 5 books will do a tremendous job in helping you to make sure that, again, you have the understanding of how you relate to money. You are putting plans and things in place to make sure that your career is in the place where it needs to be. And if not, you're making plans to get a better career or to get something that helps that income increase as well, helps that wealth building tool that we talked about. And then lastly, tools to make sure that you are managing and being a good steward of the funds that you do receive. Those 5 books will do about as good a job as any to help you get in that right mindset and start taking those steps to make sure that you are in the best position to achieve all of your home goals. I hope that that's helpful for you guys. If you ever have any recommendations of books that you've read that you thought you were very enjoyed and you want to send them over, I'm always happy to take those recommendations as well. Always looking for something to check out. But I hope that you all have a wonderful day. Spend some time reading. I'll talk to you next time.